Okay, let's bring in John Yoo, a former Deputy Assistant Attorney General, former law clerk to Justice Thomas, and a UC Berkeley law professor. Professor Yoo, always great to have you with us on the program. I want to get your reaction to this. This is Jeanine Pirro, a U.S. Attorney for the District of Columbia. She says this is actually a bi-coastal investigation. Your thoughts after this bit of sound?
We continue to seek warrants and to execute on those warrants, even as we speak, not just in Washington, the state of Washington, but in other areas around the country to get everything that we need to make sure that this prosecution is as factful as we need in terms of the law and the evidence.
Okay, Professor, walk us through it. What happens now from the legal perspective, even as we're noticing now the charges keep changing depending on the health and well-being of the victims. In this case, we've lost one already.
Kevin, great to be with you and happy Thanksgiving to everybody. The facts are still changing, as you said, Kevin. We just had, unfortunately, one of the guardsmen die. That changes the charges from assault to potentially first-degree murder. If the second guardsman dies, then you're going to have a second murder charge. But the most important part of this investigation is not going to be about, I think, whether he pulled the trigger, what happened on that street corner. By the way, I was staying one block from that street corner yesterday, the last 2 days, just for Thanksgiving vacation, and I saw the crime scene. I went and looked at it the day after. I think all the forensic information is going to be collected and has been properly done. The key is going to be, what was his intent? Because to get a murder charge upgraded to first degree, which is eligible for the death penalty, the government will have to prove that the perpetrator acted with what's called malice of forethought, that he planned it, that he did it in cold blood, and that he didn't have, for example, mental health problems, which might be used as part of the defense. That's all going to be part of the investigation. And then the second major part of the investigation is going to be any terrorism links. Did he have contact with other people in the United States or in Afghanistan that might have led him or assisted him in carrying out this terrible attack? And hopefully that might help stop any kind of future attacks on our National Guardsmen in Washington, D.C.
You know what, Trey Gowdy echoed basically your sentiment here. I'm going to play a little sound from him. He seems really convinced this is a death penalty case. Let's listen to this.
There are no mitigating factors. I mean, it's a very good death penalty case, Mike. I'm just reluctant. I mean, it's going to be at least a year, probably two, before the trial, and he may outlive both of us.
It's interesting. He says it'll be a year, perhaps two. I mean, to me, I know we're still trying to figure out all the motivations, but listen, Professor, if you're driving 3,000 miles, presumably to commit murder, that would seem to be a pretty clear motivation to me, but maybe it's not as cut and dry. Your thoughts? We've got about 30 seconds.
I agree, Kevin. When I first heard that he took 5 days and drove across the country, that to me suggests planning, cold-blooded murder. But now we're starting to hear information that he, for example, worked with U.S. troops in Afghanistan, that he might have suffered mental health problems. I think President Trump himself mentioned that. That's going to make it harder. That's going to be something the defense is going to raise. Also, people should keep in mind there's two trials here. There'll be one for whether he did it, and then there will be a second jury trial about whether he should be subject to the death penalty when all that other kind of information can be brought in about what happened to him over in Afghanistan, what happened to him here. Did he have any mitigating circumstances to defend against a cold-blooded murder charge?
Well, it's going to be interesting, and as you said, it's going to play out one way or the other. We'll see where it all goes. Professor Yoo, thank you so very much for spending time with us. Happy Thanksgiving to you and yours.
I'm Steve Doocy.
I'm Brian Kilmeade.
And I'm Ainsley Earhart. And click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis.